Alright YouTube, so we are back of course talking about some Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we're kind of taking a break from the translations, and to be honest, I think I kind of covered everything that I initially wanted to talk about in terms of the translations that kind of compelled me to want to do the daily uploads. I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to talk about as of right now. I'd have to go back through Audrey's Twitter. So what we're talking about today is sort of a follow-up to a theory we talked about over a month ago. I've seen this on Reddit, and it's about the game, about Remake being some sort of like follow-up or sequel or something to Advent Children. Now, the initial theory video is like 14 minutes long, so clearly I can't cover everything here, but some of the examples of things that connect Remake to Advent Children with that theory was like musical cues, like us when we first meet Sephiroth in-game in Remake. It's a remix version of a song that was exclusive to Advent Children, which is a very interesting song to choose. The more common one that pretty much everybody knows is the whispers we fight at the end of the game are like variants of Laws, Yazoo, and Kadaj. And another kind of big one was Sephiroth having the wing within Remake, which is something he did not acquire until Advent Children. Now, I did point out within that actual theory video that it could just be a design decision. Sephiroth's kind of known for having the black wing now. He's had it longer in the franchise that he has not had the wing, so they could have just added the wing to his character just because everybody knows that now. And while I do believe that, I am a firm believer that the small details in terms of the story for Remake really matter, and the fact that Sephiroth does have the wing he acquired within Advent Children could mean something. It just remains to be seen. That's just an example of some of the connections with the theory. I do recommend watching that video in its entirety if you want to learn the entire theory, but today's theory is kind of the same thing, but sort of a different spin on it, because the theory that we looked at before was something about the time travel shit, which there may or may not be time travel or different timelines within Remake. We're not 100% sure on that, but it does seem like there could be. And the way the theory kind of went with the Remake being a follow-up to Advent Children is that the planet seems to have some sort of connections to time, again, the different timelines potentially, and that maybe whenever Cloud defeated Sephiroth at the end of Advent Children, he returned back to the live stream, that maybe he found a way to manipulate that time aspect of the live stream and came back to the past, and that's what we're seeing here with Remake, is him trying to alter the timeline. So this different theory I've seen on Reddit, again, full credit to that person, takes a different spin on the end of Advent Children. What if Sephiroth actually succeeded in what he said he was going to do? In Advent Children, right before Cloud and Sephiroth fight, he tells Cloud, "The last thoughts of Geostigma's dead. Those remnants will join the livestream and girdle the planet, choking it, corroding it. What I want, Cloud, is to sell the darkness of the cosmos with this planet as my vessel, just as my mother did long ago. Then one day we'll find a new planet, and on its soil we'll create a shining future." What if Remake is that future? What if Sephiroth was able to garner the energy of the live stream, or potentially even the universal live stream, which some people think, if you want to factor in Dirge of Cerberus and Omega Weapon? What if Sephiroth succeeded, man? What if he created another planet? What if he recreated Gaia, but because the live stream is like a stream of consciousness and memories and things like that, it still holds on to the events that previously happened, and that would explain why Aerith knows what's going to happen, why the planet is telling Aerith what's supposed to happen. That's something we've looked at with the multiple different theories. It also kind of explained the flashes of things we get throughout the game, which seems like they should be future events like reunion, Aerith's death, things like that. What if those aren't, visions of the future, but visions of the past, things that have already happened? With these theories suggesting that Remake is a follow-up to Advent Children, and with it possibly involving Omega Weapon, that would put it last in the timeline, right? It goes before Crisis, Crisis Core, FF7, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, and then Remake. And I think it makes a lot of sense that Sephiroth would use Omega Weapon. His plan at the end of Advent Children is to infect the livestream with Geostigma, right? And if that was going to happen, then Omega Weapon would probably activate to absorb all the livestream energy and then sell the cosmos. And since he already tried the route once of wounding the planet with Meteor, that didn't work, so he went the route of infecting the planet within. I think there's a lot of things that make sense to this theory. The only thing that was kind of holding me back and kind of questioning it was the Whisper Harbinger and Fate and Destiny and all that shit. But what if that was the limit to his power, right? Those were aspects of Gaia that are there to keep Fate in line. So what if he absorbed all the live stream energy, but because Destiny and Fate and the Harbinger and all that other shit were still there, that was the limit to his power. So what if he had to recreate Gaia? Maybe he even recreated Cloud and everybody, so that they could then go on to defeat the Whisper Harbinger. We see that at the end of the game. We see that throughout the game in general, he wants to break the chains of destiny. He literally breaks chains at the end of the game. Like, it's not literal steel metallic chains shackled to Sephiroth, but it's definitely symbolic of that and him breaking free. Now, there are certain things you could probably pick apart from this idea in theory, but what I've said in the past is that I think once we figure out the overall story for Remake, what you're going to find out is that there are aspects of pretty much all the different theories out there that are going to be true. Because no one theory, no one fan theory is going to be 100% accurate. And I think people are onto something with each of these different theories out there. Like, there's credibility to the different timelines, credibility to Zack being alive, Zack not being alive, credibility to this being a sequel to Advent Children, all those different things. What I like about this particular theory, assuming that it is true, is that it means that Sephiroth succeeded in what he said he was going to do at the end of Advent Children, which I think is an important thing narratively for the villain to succeed sometimes. What I mean by that is people hold Kefka to such a high standard and Final Fantasy VI because Kefka succeeded in destroying a lot of the planet and killing a lot of people. Which doesn't happen super often, if at all, when it comes to Final Fantasy, right? Usually the villain fails, we beat them by the end of the game, but Kefka succeeded. Even like Kuja, with Final Fantasy IX, destroyed, I believe it's called Terra, which is like a planet of clones and stuff where Zidon's from, whatever. He destroyed an entire goddamn planet. That's something Sephiroth has never done. So I'd like if my boy Sephiroth got a little bit of respect on his name, and if he succeeded in his plan, and was able to absorb like the life stream from Gaia, and possibly with Omega Weapon even the universal life stream to some degree, is at the point now where he can recreate planets and shit, recreating Gaia or whatever. Like, that puts him on a level that he's never been before. That puts him on the level of an actual fucking god, and he's more of a threat than he's ever been before. And there's part of me that oh so bad wants that to be the case. And something we discussed in the previous video as well is, what if the name of the game is actually significant? What if it's not just called Remake because they literally remaking Final Fantasy VII, but because Sephiroth remade Gaia? Now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, at the end of the game, Sephiroth and Cloud go to the Edge of Creation, which is a very specific name given what we're talking about in this video. And it seems like it's somewhere that Sephiroth has been before, since he knows what the hell it is. And I don't know about you, but something called the Edge of Creation sounds like maybe where the universal live stream would be, or some sort of place that would have the power to create things. I don't know. Just my interpretation. I just think there's a lot of interesting ideas behind this theory, and it does feel like this game is a sequel. A lot of people have said that it feels like this game is a sequel to Advent Children. It feels like it's taking place after that. Now, how much of this theory is actually true? I don't know, man. I don't know how much stock we can put into it. It's hard to say. But it sure as hell is fun to talk about. What are your thoughts, my dudes? What do you think about this theory? It's kind of, again, in a different interpretation of a previous theory that we discussed. What do you think about this particular one, that maybe Sephiroth actually succeeded in what he said he was going to do at the end of Advent Children? For a good portion of the community, they're upset with how different Remake is to the original FF7, but if it's not like a retcon or a reimagining of the story of FF7, but some sort of follow-up that takes place after the story so far, that makes it not quite as bad, because they're not changing anything that's happened in the past. This is just the next step in the story of the Final Fantasy VII compilation. This is the next story after everything we've played so far. Anyways, my dudes, that is the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys already want to do more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @dashingdavid. I'm on Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.